Hey everyone, welcome to the Babylon Bee interview show, where I'm looking at this camera,
Yep,
not
we're
that
both
one,
looking at this camera.
because that's what Emma asked me to
Instructed
do.
to stare into the lens.
She got really mad at me when I looked at that
She's
camera.
so bossy.
She's very bossy. And today we're not talking to Emma, though. We're talking to Liz Wheeler, who's the host of The Liz Wheeler Show. And she came all the way out here to Southern California to do this show with us.
Yep.
And do some other shows that aren't as big or popular as ours.
She was on One American News Network for a while. She has her podcast, The Liz Wheeler Show. She has a book called Tipping Point, How to Topple the Left's House of Cards. And she also told us she's on Locals, so follow her there and check out her book.
Yeah. So here she comes. She's knocking on the door, and oh, hi, Liz. Come on in.
Let's never try that opening again.
Fix it in post. Emma, why do you hate us so much? How's it going?
Good, good. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you
This
for
is
being
great.
here.
This is a sweet set.
So you can tell we have hard-hitting questions here at the
Yeah.
1B podcast.
That's our first gotcha question. How are you doing?
How are you?
Yeah.
That gotcha question didn't work. Do we have any other gotchas lined up?
I don't think so.
How are you enjoying the weather out here?
I love the weather because my hair does not frizz.
Mm-hmm.
It does on the East Coast, and it doesn't out here.
Uh,
But I'm a Southern California girl at heart. I lived
Oh,
out
yeah.
here for almost a decade.
oh, wow.
Yeah, down in San Diego.
Oh, that's the best.
Hmm.
I was in San Diego this weekend. It's wonderful.
It is.
I'm just letting you do what you're doing right now.
It's working. I'm enjoying it. Have you ever seen Short Circuit?
No.
Okay. Do you know who this is?
Short Circuit?
That's the name of the movie. His name's Johnny Five.
Oh, I thought I was thinking his name was Short Circuit
No, no,
also.
it's the name
And
of
I've
the
seen the movie.
Yeah,
It was like
okay.
a
But I haven't
50-50 shot I was taking.
Yeah. So it's a movie about this robot who becomes self-aware, but he's actually a military weapon, but he learns to love. But they want to take him apart, and so he learns what the word disassemble means.
No, this isn't.
And then he goes, no, disassemble. So it's
Is it
kind of
Mark
like the
Zuckerberg?
libertarian thing. No, it's similar to Mark Zuckerberg.
Okay.
They become self-aware and all that.
Well, he's not quite there.
What do you think about Mark Zuckerberg?
Do you have any thoughts on Mark Zuckerberg?
I think Mark Zuckerberg was probably the one person who made the biggest difference in the 2020 election that people aren't focusing on. With the Zuckerbucks thing.
What's the Zuckerbucks? I don't know. I'm not familiar with that term.
Well, first of all, it's
how much money he spent on it? Is that what?
Yeah, he gave
$400
private
million?
donations to cities. It's actually against a lot of state constitutions. He gave money to these organizations that came in and took over the election operations and the drop boxes and the universal mail-in ballots and the degradation of signature verifications. This was all funded by him. People just aren't talking about it.
Well, we talk about it on this show because this is a hard-hitting political
But he gave us
show.
the new laughing emoji reaction, so that kind of makes up for it, right?
Isn't the one that's this new too? The one that you're peeking?
Oh, I haven't
Emoji?
seen
That might be on the iPhones. Yeah, I don't know.
on Facebook. You get the little care emoji.
Yeah.
And hug people, which is cool.
I only use 5 emojis on Facebook, the ones that you can favorite on the chat.
Yeah.
I never go beyond that because it's too much effort.
Yeah. No, I didn't know you could even pick other ones other than those.
They should add the pregnant man to that one,
Yeah,
just as a standard reaction to
They
things
should.
people
Do you have an iPhone? Do you have the
I do
pregnant
have
man emoji? Is it on?
Oh yeah, I got him.
You get the pregnant man?
I have a pregnant woman, a pregnant man, and then
Can I see
an
it?
indeterminate one.
Oh, look at that. It's the Bill,
Is that a
the
gender
Bill Gates
fluid one?
emoji right there.
Yeah.
Look at that.
It's the Bill Gates
I mean, we all know it's 3 pregnant women, but it's supposed to be.
It's 2 ugly pregnant
Yes,
women.
exactly. It's
one average
woman
looking.
with short hair.
So we're curious, in your thumbnail for the Liz Wheeler show, you're looking up and to the left. What are you looking at?
What was I looking at?
In this photo here.
Truly behind the scenes, what I was looking at is my husband had made a sort of dirty joke, and I was laughing at it.
What was
And
it?
it was I don't remember. I wish
Oh,
that I did.
man.
Maybe my producer off screen remembers. But no, look at him. He's like on the spot. He's like, of course I'm not going to file that away. No, so that photo was taken. We did the promotion photo shoot. I was like 7 months pregnant. And I'm like, I like to think I'm not too awkward when I'm on camera, like talking, because that's just normal. I don't have like fear of being on camera. But man, you get a photo camera out for a still photo, and I just become like the most awkward, weird, unphotogenic person ever. And so the photographer was like, why don't you just like talk to some people off set? Let's get some like normal expressions. And I was talking to my husband, who was like 10 feet away from me, and that was like an accidental photo. I was like in the process of rolling my eyes and laughing.
Wow.
So we got to remember that when we take pictures here, tell dirty jokes off screen. That's what makes for a good photo.
Yeah.
Now you have a book also called Tipping Point: How to Topple the Left's House of Cards.
Yeah.
Why haven't you toppled their House of Cards yet?
I would like to think I'm playing a part in it, toppling in this like slow motion reality that we're seeing right now.
Are you optimistic that it is toppling right now? Do you think people are kind of seeing through it? Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, I have always said that there are not too many political issues where one party has the opportunity to poach voters from the other party. Everyone's pretty like ideologically set in their ways, if you will. There are always a few independents, but people that identify as Democrat or people that identify as Republican don't oftentimes allow themselves to be poached. And we are seeing for the first time parents who are usually Democrat actually changing and voting Republican, and Hispanics who usually vote Democrat actually changing and voting Republican. And that's, I mean, it speaks to how nuts the left is, but the Republicans are doing something correct for once in our lives. Yeah. They're actually taking advantage of these opportunities, and yeah, it's fun to watch. I mean,
but now how are the Republicans going to blow it before the midterms? They always find a way.
They'll find a way to squander.
I mean, how many days left until the midterms? Yeah. That's how many options they have. So. I don't know. I would hope that they wouldn't. I think that there is this new movement on Twitter, which we're all part of, that hold Republican elected officials accountable differently than ever before, because we're the ones setting the narrative. The politicians are actually following us for a change, which is maybe what they should do. We're their constituents. But when they make a misstep, this whole movement of conservatives on Twitter says, hold it, stop, don't do this, here's what you should be doing. And I think that's going to make a difference in helping them not blow it before the midterms. If they can just stay focused on school choice, they can stay focused on critical race theory, they can stay focused on woke corporations, they can stay focused on transgender ideology. I think we've got this in the bag. The Democrats, and not to count chickens before they're hatched, but the Democrats think that abortion on demand is going to be the winning issue. This, to me, is actually crazy, that regardless of their ideology, but that just from a strategic standpoint, that they would think that this is going to be something that changes people's minds. It's not going to. It's not going to bring any Republicans or independents over to their side. So
it does feel, though, like that SCOTUS leak came about like because they were trying to energize their base at the exact right time.
Yeah, it's such a miscalculation. I mean, it's such a miscalculation for the White House.
You don't think that's going to work? You don't think that's...
No, I think it'll actually backfire. I mean, think about how Brett Kavanaugh, just like putting his jurisprudence aside for a second, think about how he reacted to the false accusations when he was in his confirmation hearing. I mean, that guy actually like stood up and fought back, right? Yeah. He discarded his prepared remarks, like all the talking points, all the PR, and he just said, listen, this is egregious, this is false. Like that personality translate now to like they're threatening his daughters. He has like middle school age daughters. How is a man going to respond to that? Is he going to say, oh, okay, I guess I should vote for abortion? No, like that same guy should actually like, it should make him feel stronger, dig his heels into his position, you know. So hopefully I'm not proven wrong here. But no, I think that that's going to backfire a lot.
Yeah, but it does kind of shift the narrative for the election in that like it felt like Republicans are winning so much that this may energize the Democrats' base to actually have something to be like, because that's what they use Roe v. Wade as this football to always get their side. You know, Republicans do the same thing.
Yes,
but you're looking at me like I'm dumb, so maybe
no. I'm running through numbers in my mind, because if you think about the demographics who make the decision, the voters who make the decision based on abortion, it's actually not very many voters that's their primary issue, that's their litmus test. The people that typically make a decision about a candidate primarily based on abortion are upper middle class white women and black women, and those two demographics are already very much leftist voters. So even if those people are energized, they were already going to vote Democrat.
And now probably pregnant men who want a man abortion.
Only if they can get time away from chest feeding.
Yeah.
That apparently is like transphobic.
Maybe the Biden administration orchestrated the baby formula shortage because they're like, we're going to kill these babies somehow.
Okay.
You know, it's a good point.
It's a good point.
Yeah.
You talk about these woke corporations, and that's, obviously that's been a big part of this narrative. Disney, we got Disneyland out here. I love Disneyland. Adam loves Disneyland.
Yeah, it's hard. I can't boycott Disneyland because it's fun.
Because it's fun.
I've never
But I
been to
don't
Disneyland.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
that's great.
They're a terrible company. You got to go.
It's a terrible company. It's a terrible look. But the cars ride.
Yeah. Rise of the Resistance.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Where do you see this all going? Is it?
Do you think companies are learning that, like, the whole go woke, go broke thing? Because it seems like that's becoming more and more the trend, but companies are still digging in on these political issues where it's like they might as well. Are they learning any lessons from this, do you think?
Well, there was a report that a high-level PR firm that does a lot of the political messaging for these big corporations was actually advising a lot of the big corporations not to comment on Roe v. Wade, not to comment on abortion because of what's happening to Disney. So if that's accurate, that's, what is that, one of those things on Twitter, big if true? Big if true.
We're going to talk entirely in Twitterisms.
Yeah. If that's true, then that's great.
I can't think of any more Twitter. But these woke companies, like it is weird because I do see the backlash coming. It's something like, I'm not a big boycotter person. Like I don't like the Disneyland thing or these other, they're like, oh, this company's. I'm like, well, my dollars are always going to go fund people I disagree with no matter what I do. But then, like the other day, I saw that Target is selling like breast binder things for transgender people.
I saw that, and like packing underwear.
And I'm just like, and then I was going to stop by Target to get my normal coffee and hard-boiled eggs in the morning, and I was like, nah, I'm going to go to
normal coffee and packing underwear.
So I bought my packing underwear. I bought my packing underwear from a local.
I had to explain on my show what packing underwear were.
I don't really know.
I don't think I know what it is. This is literally the first time I've heard that term.
Yeah.
This is what I said on my show. I said, if you want to hide your wee-wee, this is how you.
Oh,
this is what you wear. It's to hide it.
In my mind, like packing underwear would be like padded. Like I really want to impress these people.
I don't think that's
like a pair of socks.
Yeah,
that's what I thought.
On my episode of my show today, I actually said, I don't like boycotts, but they sort of force our hand. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write into them and tell them, listen, we're your consumers, and 50% of the country, if not more, doesn't like that you're doing this. So if you don't stop, then we will actually take our money elsewhere. Just to at least like give them the opportunity to change. They probably won't, but at least, we don't have to boycott immediately.
I was, boycotts are a tough one because I think everyone has the right to boycott things. I think where it sort of like overlaps with like cancel culture in a way, which makes me like apprehensive about it, is I've always been like, I will boycott a company if they're actively doing something bad, like using child labor or something like that. If it's just kind of where their money goes, I tend to see that as like a function of like the free market. It's like, I'm going to buy this product or this service, and then what they do with that money that they've earned through the free market is kind of their business. So it distances me from it a little bit. But I do get cautious about it when they are, like you said, doing it very publicly and making that sort of part of their brand and part of their platform.
Yeah.
Rather than this is what our CEO or one of our employees is doing with the money on their own time.
Right,
kind of.
That's an important distinction, I think.
Yeah.
But I wonder if Ron DeSantis is going to ban the packing underwear from Target in Florida. He's kind of a fighter, he does that kind of stuff.
I know, that's the other Twitter meme that's getting funnier by the day, is for DeSantis to ban everything.
Yeah.
Do you think woke companies will pay their transgender employees to go to other states to buy packing underwear?
Up to $4,000. Well, I just saw that Ron DeSantis signed a thing that they have to like absolutely trash communism in classes now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but did you see Vice? Did you see Vice News' reaction to that?
I did see this tweet.
I didn't see this, no.
That was so funny.
Yeah, you can't say gay in Florida schools, but Ron DeSantis is mandating teachers talk about communism. If there's anything to... Oh, look, we have a Liz Wheeler reply.
Oh, she replied already.
Nice. So egregious to talk about communism when it only killed 100 million people. You should just read this. Can you read your response to it?
Yeah.
We can hear it in your voice.
I like that you got Kyle to say shit on our podcast.
This is the first time.
Usually I'm the one who does that, and then I get glared
So
at.
egregious to talk shit about communism when it only killed 100 million people in the 20th century. I mean, come on. Who cares about those people when communism also oppressed and impoverished everyone who survived it with their lives? So unfair to the dictators who thrived under communism.
Not bad. I like, and you've already ratioed them on the
Nice.
on the
Do
lights.
you know that the actual law, though, it's like 45 minutes a year It's one day.
What is the actual law? Because I haven't heard about this. Like
on November
what
7th,
is,
he declared it to be Victims of Communism Remembrance Day. So for 45 minutes on November 7th, there's going to be a lesson about, what communism does.
Oh, okay.
I clicked on Vice News to find out what the actual bill says, but that probably wasn't a good idea.
I mean, they still call it a "Don't Say Gay" bill in the so they're still haven't gotten the wording of that actual bill correct.
Yeah, that "Don't Say Gay" thing. They're so good at doing that kind of framing. Like they come up with this stuff.
We were in Florida and we said "gay" all the time, and we didn't get
as
arrested.
soon as we landed, we said
"gay."
But we only used "gay" to mean like lame, or uncool.
We only use it as an insult.
That was how we were okay.
There's nothing mentioned in the bill about whether whether you can go to jail for that.
Yeah.
So I guess that means it's okay.
I think it's fine.
So you said I think this is your pinned tweet right now. I read the founding documents of queer theory, aka a creepy steaming pile of garbage, to understand the agenda of those teaching the transgender ideology to our kids in school. This is what I found: pedophilia.
Yeah.
Wow. So how does pedophilia relate to...
It's like a bombastic tweet, right?
Yeah, that's pretty, but you've got like a 10-minute video here. It's got all the
keywords in there.
Yeah, so when the Florida thing was happening, and then the left and the mainstream media was talking about, was using that narrative, the "Don't Say Gay," right? I thought, well, this is interesting. Like, where did this come from, right? Where did this phrase come from? Because it probably is not just a hashtag that organically originated on Twitter and then people picked it up. And I found that it actually originated from Planned Parenthood. That they have used this phrase for the last 5-6 years to describe bills like this in different states. Specifically,
the "Don't Say Gay" phrase?
Yeah, the "Don't Say Gay" phrase. Because as we've come to this point where Roe v. Wade might be overturned and their abortion business might be threatened, they've actually switched their business model or morphed their business model. They're now one of the biggest distributors of transgender hormone therapy to young people as young as 16. And so they actually... they're also the largest organization or the biggest educator of that radical sex ed that happens in public schools. So they are an active part of this pipeline. So I'm reading about this, and I think, okay, well, there's an equivalence between how the left is teaching these transgender things in school to how the left taught critical race theory, right? It wasn't like in colleges you could say, here's critical race theory and here's what it teaches, sort of this abstract academic theory. And that's not how it's being taught in elementary schools. They're telling you, oh, white kids are racist, black kids are oppressed. They're teaching the principles of critical race theory. And I thought this is the same thing that's happening with the transgender stuff. They're teaching that boys can be girls if they want, girls can be boys, that gender is a spectrum, it's not binary, it's not related to sex, but all of those things aren't just things in and of themselves. They're actually the principles of the same type of ideological underpinning. This time it's queer theory, another academic theory, if you will. I say that with a little bit of laughter. But I read the founding documents. I was like, okay, so what is queer theory then? I read all the founding documents of critical race theory too to understand what it was. That's why I got into that debate, we'll call it that, with Mark Lamont Hill, because I called him out for, who he was supporting, because I actually read this stuff. I read this and it took me a couple days to detox it from my mind, just so you guys know. It's pretty nasty stuff. But the founder, Gail Rubin is her name. She's a lesbian who actually started a
I could tell from that name. Gail Rubin. Big lesbian name.
Yeah, it just sounds I agree with you.
She started a club for leather bondage lesbians.
Really?
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say, that the name sounds like leather bondage lesbians. Yeah.
But she wrote the thesis of queer theory, or this founding document called Thinking Sex. And she posits in this document that there's, no objective truth, that gender is a spectrum, it's not binary, but she defends child pornography. She says it's a civil right issue that, 20 years down the road, we as a society will feel bad for all of these men that we put in jail for consuming, the sexual torture materials depicting the sexual torture of toddlers and babies. She defends that. She defends the sexualization of children. She said that, sex is always political. And she defends pedophilia. She actually calls pedophiles men who love underage youth.
Jeez. So in her world, Jared could get his job back at Subway. He could be the face of those sandwiches again.
I would love to ask her that question.
You should.
I would love to ask her that question.
Yeah.
I wish that as her name is becoming more known attached to this, I wish that she'd surface and start defending it the way that Kimberly Crenshaw did with critical race theory.
Uh-huh.
But But yeah, I mean that tweet sounds bombastic because it's like, oh sure, pedophilia, but like it's actually
That's how I felt watching it. Like, it's like, oh, is this really what it says? And then when you unpack and look at, like, they really are defending this stuff.
That's why I put, like you said, it's like a 9-minute video.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to condense it into like 1 minute because then people are just going to be like, oh, you're just trying to get clicks, you're just trying to get views. Like, no, I want people to watch it because it's nasty, it's there, and that's the ideological underpinning of what kids are being taught.
How many times are you going to vote for Trump in 2024?
Oh, this is a good question. Do you mean, do I like Trump more than DeSantis or DeSantis more than Trump?
Yes.
Yeah, who's your pick?
That was my question.
I don't like any politician in any party. And so I don't put any politician on a pedestal. I think DeSantis is doing great things and I will keep watching him. I'm not like, I'm never like team so-and-so. I'm like, here's what I want done by a president. And if you're doing it, I'll support you on like an individual basis as you do it. I think it's probably time for Trump to pass the torch.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean, I think he was a good president for the first 3 years, and I think he majorly botched up how he handled COVID. And it doesn't seem like he's realized that or acknowledged it. He's still pushing the vaccine pretty hard.
I think he'll realize it eventually, though. He seems to get when he's made a mistake.
And be very apologetic.
He's pretty self-aware, I feel like.
I think it's probably time for him to pass the torch.
Well, we're very saddened at that because I miss Trump.
I hope Trump gets back on Twitter.
He was not. Yeah, I think after like when Biden first took office, I thought, well, hopefully we'll have someone. I like Trump a lot too, but I was like, oh, hopefully we'll have somebody new. But like the closer we get, I like DeSantis a lot, but like between those two, it's like I'm not entirely opposed to Trump running again like I used to be. I'm like, I could support him again, I think.
I mean, I'm just thinking for the jokes,
Yeah.
I'm talking about the politics.
I mean, it's one of those things that if he's the Republican candidate, we're all going to support him, right? Because he actually was a very good president aside from COVID.
Yeah.
There's also the matter of
But it was
age
funny
thing,
how when
right?
he had COVID, he was trying to act like he wasn't sick and he was breathing real heavy on the
Didn't we all do that when we had
That
COVID?
was funny.
Did you guys have COVID?
I had COVID classic, and then I think I got Omicron.
Like, is that Alpha or Delta? Which is the classic?
The one before Delta, like the first.
like the original one?
Yeah, but it was in like January of the year after it started. But I only had I had like very mild symptoms. I had a sore throat, and that was about it. And then I lost my sense of taste for like 6 months.
6 months?
It slowly came back, but it took like months.
Oh,
All
that's
the other
crazy.
symptoms went away. Yeah.
I had COVID, but so I'm a COVID survivor. But
That's what it sounded like. I was like, are we going to just introduce ourselves?
Yeah.
COVID. But my wife had it really bad. Like there was
Did
the
she?
whole like I almost took her to the hospital.
Oh, yikes.
And but then she also got Delta and then or Omicron, I think, and it was like much more mild at that point.
Yeah.
But I always got it right after her, but I got it much more mild. But she's Mexican, so Mexicans take COVID hard, apparently.
Really?
Yeah.
Do they?
They say Mexicans and black people get it worse.
Who's they?
Or Latino. Well, that's what Fauci said.
Oh, well, that must be true. He's the science.
Yeah. Did you get COVID?
I did. I got Delta in November of 2021, and then I got Omicron in January of this year. Omicron.
Which one did you like better?
Omicron, for
Yeah.
sure. Omicron,
Which one did you like?
Omicron for sure. I don't think I would have even known that I had Omicron,
Yeah.
except my husband's a medical provider, so he has to test all the time.
Yeah.
And he tested positive, and then I did, and I was like, oh yeah, I do have a runny nose. But Delta, I got pretty sick. I got like the COVID pneumonia from it.
See, I got tested when I got it the first time, and then I think I had Omicron because I had like a sore throat the week everybody had it, but I just kind of like kept myself for a few days until it went away. I didn't actually get tested.
I never tested for it either. My
I
wife
need to
tested
make
for
sure the FBI has noted this. You didn't quarantine for 14 days?
I kind of.
He has COVID right now.
Yeah, exactly. I only go out when I have it.
I didn't understand the bizarreness of people like constantly testing for COVID all the time, and it's still a thing. Like people are just like, I got a little cough, I'm gonna go check it. I'm like, are you gonna do anything different if you get tested or not? Like that's the part I don't understand. Why we were testing so much.
Yeah, I mean they need to make sure that they're freaked out enough.
Yeah, I guess.
They get it.
I agree with you when you're talking about politicians that we don't because the right is praising DeSantis so much, and I'm kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like, is there something that I don't know. I don't know if his governance policies in Florida are going to translate to a successful presidential campaign or not. I don't know if it's weird. It is weird to see all those headlines like a day about slamming, trashing communism, and I was like, it's cool. I like that as being a fighter, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't know how well that translates to a big populist campaign across the country. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would translate okay. I guess I'm more skeptical too. Like, what's the one or the biggest hesitation that Trump supporters have about Trump, aside from, I mean, related to his first administration, aside from how he handled COVID, and that's the people that he surrounded himself with, right?
Right. Yeah.
Like that he surrounded himself with like a bunch of suck-ups and morons and maybe deep staters.
Fauci.
Yeah, I mean, he brought Fauci in, right? Yeah. Like, I mean, well, Fauci's been here
He was
since,
already like
since whenever the dinosaurs were here, but I think Trump, I mean, when Trump endorsed Dr. Oz, I was like, oh, he hasn't learned his lesson. He's still doing that. Because that guy's...
He really just likes, I feel like, celebrities and like TV
Dr.
personalities
Oz told him that he was in good health.
It's just like, that's like top of his list. I feel like when he's looking for experts is like, have you had a show?
And
Send me your reel.
And if you're a doctor and you tell him that he's in good health.
Yes.
Which, I mean, I get that.
Yeah, he's a fantastic bill of health, the greatest ever. Mm-hmm. No, you started to say something and we interrupted you. You were talking about Trump's age, that you think maybe he's too old.
Oh, yeah, I mean...
Because would he be older than Biden if he ran?
I think he'd be the same age that Biden... I think if Trump ran again, I think he'd be the same age that Biden was when he started this term, which is extremely old.
Which is very, very
old.
Can we count that
But
high?
I mean, Trump does have, and you know, you can decline at any age. People's health is different, but Trump clearly has more energy than even Biden did at that age. He seems,
it's like a choice between being
sharper.
ageist or not, right? Because like if I'm super old and I'm like mentally sharp and someone says, do you think you're too old? I'm going to be totally mad at them.
You should get
I'd be like, how dare you?
Sing a disinformation song to fact check them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I mean, it's something you have to think about, right?
Coming up next, for Babylon Bee subscribers.
Speaking of things we have to think about, we're going to play a game called Real or Fake Headlines. Target announces new chest binders and
Oh, we talked about that already.
Yeah, already crossed it out.
I actually recently told Cruz that he should wear a gray suit more often than a blue suit.
I thought you were going to say chest binders.
Packing underwear.
And packing underwear.
This has been another interview on the Babylon Bee from the dedicated team of certified fake news journalists you can trust here at the Babylon Bee, reminding you that someone out there knows something about Carmen, and we're going to find them.